Hello everyone! We now have the new FSD Beta 9 and I have to say it's been pretty awesome. You can see the new visualizations. I have my GoPro hooked up now, so hopefully the quality's a little bit better. Slowing down perfectly. It's just wild to me because this build has been so smooth. You know, other people have been saying it's been rough, but I'm having the complete opposite experience. It's been so smooth for me. Like, it drives like a normal person. It used to kind of be a little jittery, like going around turns and stuff, but it's just like, you know, it's hard to explain. It's just so smooth. I mean, the way it brakes, it's not like abrupt like it used to be. Now it's just kind of just brakes like a normal car. It's just fantastic. So one thing I have to say is I don't have my current video setup that I normally do. I actually just recently moved. I don't know, someone's probably seen a tweet about it, but I end up deleting it. Anyway, I end up moving, so my workstation I do all my video editing is still in boxes. So I'm pretty much just going to be doing everything on my GoPro and my phone for now. So I'm not going to be doing all the same editing like I used to do, like waiting at stop signs and stuff. I would cut it. I'm not going to be doing that, so I'll probably just do some shorts, just so the video is not too long for now. So this is actually the first time I drove Beta 9 through this entire area. I was using 8.2 through here, and 8.2 worked fine. It's been very rare for me to have interventions or disengagements. It works really well. I mean, it's like autopilot on the highway. You kind of know the spots that it's always messes up on, or you always have to disengage for one particular area. 8.2 was like that for me because we've been using it for so long. So I already was used to like, oh, it doesn't work well here, and I would just turn it off before getting to that one spot. With version 9, it's so much smoother, and this is actually the first time I've driven version 9 through this particular area. I guess I'll go 43 here. So one thing is different is, since this is the new Tesla Vision without radar, it automatically enables the automatic high beam function. You can see the icon here. It might be hard to see on the GoPro, but it's lit up here because it forces it on. And then auto steer is limited to 80 miles an hour, which is fine. I never go faster than that anyway. Yeah, it's just so much smoother, like even the way it selects the lane. So I shouldn't be hanging something. Someone mentioned that, but it used to just like swerve. It used to just like turn the wheel really quickly. Now it just kind of, they smoothed it out. Like even this, it would have like, it used to really maneuver hard. It stopped perfect, waiting for the car. Perfect. Okay, now it needs to go. And it's going. I probably would have gone a little bit sooner, but it did it perfectly. It waited for the car coming up on the left. Like, I've heard some people say that it's not working for cars coming from the left. I have not had that experience. Like, it's been working really, really well for me. Like you just saw, I didn't do anything. It stopped for the cars that were oncoming. So the brake lights are now showing. And another thing, it shows turn signals. I wish someone would have their turn signal on. It's not picking up that trucks because it's kind of blocked, but you would see the lights flashing for people's turn signals now. It's so cool. Now this is kind of a challenging on-ramp section. So there's 3 different on-ramps, and I'm really curious if the Tesla is going to choose the correct on-ramp and take it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head into Midtown Sacramento, into kind of like the same little like test loop area that I used to do. Now it is going really slow here. Okay, there it goes. Okay, pick the correct lane. That was a little bit slow, but it didn't do anything that was jarring, like it didn't jerk the wheel or go into another car or anything like that. Because honestly, it used to kind of like jerk into cars, and it was scary. Okay, that was not very natural. I'm just going to report that, but it's okay. Didn't do anything that was odd. It was just a little bit slow. I think it had trouble, like I was saying. This is even kind of confusing just for the average driver, figuring out which lane to go in over here because it's just a lot of lanes. This is Auburn Boulevard going on to Interstate 80 where it connects to Business 80, heading into Sacramento. So we're still in FSD mode, as you can tell with the new shading. I love the shading on the sides. Okay, so now we're back into standard autopilot mode. You can see the restriction warning, auto steer restricted to 80 because it is using Tesla Vision. So one thing I've noticed, you notice this car here, it used to jump around as the car would transition from camera to camera, and it no longer does that. And it also it responds so much more smoothly to cars on the freeway now, because before it would kind of like, you know, everyone knows this, when there's an overpass like this, it sometimes would get a little trippy, especially if the road was peaking up or down. The car would like brake because it was detecting, there were some brake lights, it was detecting like the bridge overpass. It no longer does that. The car drives perfectly on the highway now. It's just incredible to me because I think the radar was actually causing some noise, which I think someone, maybe it was Andrew Carpathy, someone was talking about how the radar was causing noise issues. I can clearly see that's what was happening because my car's driving perfectly on the highway now. And I honestly didn't have a lot of issues with autopilot before anyway, but now with Tesla Vision, it's just so smooth. It reacts so well to cars. You know, you can see so much of the traffic around you. It's just like, it's crazy. I love it. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop the video here and return it once we get into Midtown. So I just had to actually say something. So one thing I was mentioning just a few minutes ago about the radar and going up a grade or down a grade on a road, you know, the radar would not detect the cars when the road was cresting up or down. But it's so bizarre to me. I'm noticing now with Tesla Vision, I just went down underneath Marconi in Sacramento on Business 80, and it used to not detect the car speeds correctly because it was getting out of like the radar view because the car would be up or down. Well, with Tesla Vision, it's like locked onto that car, even if it's down or up. If that makes sense, it's responding correctly through the whole curve of Marconi. It used to kind of speed up and slow down when it was like picking the car, but now it knows the car speed in front of you and it maintains it all the way through the curve. It's incredible. Once everyone gets Tesla Vision, you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, continuing in a few moments. So I'm just turning this back on because cars have been cutting me off. They're, you know, just like normal traffic. But with the Tesla Vision system, it no longer like abruptly brakes. It's just like, it's so hard to explain. It's just smooth. It's like reacting so smoothly to everything around me right now. And you can see all the brake lights lighting up. Like it feels like the car's a lot more aware of what's going on. I wish there was a turn signal that was going to kick on, but it's just, this is incredible to me. Hopefully we get someone's turn signal so you can see this. I still think they're doing some work between cameras here. So that truck, it was showing kind of like it was not unsure of the direction of travel. But man, it's just so much more smooth. So like this is a good example. There was a curve. The radar would kind of like miss the lock on the car, if that makes sense, and it would kind of not match the speeds correctly. But with Tesla Vision, it's knowing that object wherever it is, and it's like locked onto that speed. It's just incredible. So let's see, is there someone who can have a turn signal? Yeah, like no one's using. Wow. This is what I mean. It's reacting so well though. It's not like overreacting or over braking. It's just slowing down and it's working great. This is what I was talking about. The truck's kind of like jumping a little bit. Hopefully we're going to see a turn signal coming up here. I've seen a few kick on, but the turn signal detection isn't as... It's not as accurate as the brake light detection. The brake light detection really works. Like that truck showed up and it just lit up. The turn signal though, I think it has a little bit tougher time detecting the turn signals. But I've seen it pop on. I haven't seen anyone really posting about it. The lane changing is so much better. Like that, especially if there was a big truck with the prior system, it would sometimes kind of like start to change lanes and then jump back. People know what I'm talking about when you have autopilot. Especially it would do it with trucks. But with Tesla Vision, it's no longer doing that. It's just changing lanes when it's clear. I just don't have any more problems with, you know, changing lane. So let's take the exit. This is going to be navigate on autopilot taking the exit. This is my very first time actually driving into Midtown with the new Beta 9 software, so fingers are crossed. It does look like it has correct streets mapped and picked. I remember one time it tried to go down that alley, but that was on an early build. Oh, that wasn't as very good. That was my first intervention in all of using Beta 9. That was my very first one. Okay. Let's go. There's going to be roundabouts coming up here too, so it's going to be good to watch this. I mean, it was a little cautious, but that's good. It's avoiding all this, okay. It's always struggled right here with the previous builds on this particular median here. So let's see what it tries to do here. It's not showing up yet. Okay, cleared it. So it didn't visualize it, which I was kind of expecting it to visualize, but it didn't do that. Okay, great. Took me right to that deli. So let's go to, okay, so I'm just canceling it. I'm not intervening for whatever reason. I just need to set my next nav point. My nav point, what was that place I was going to? Oh, Babes. Babes ice cream. I like this particular route because there's a whole bunch of roundabouts through here. So you guys are actually with me the very first, this is my very first attempt actually taking this route with Beta 9. So it is visualizing that, that makes me feel better. Didn't visualize the last one, so it's clearing it, making plenty of space. It was our turn. It handled it great. So this is where it's always kind of struggled through here in these stops in particular, cross traffic and the roundabouts. So this is just a kind of a challenging area in general. Okay, it's clear. Okay, we didn't really have cross traffic except for that one, but it did react correctly. I wish there was more kind of like visualization on watching cars coming up, because like right now I'm really having to look to make sure it's clear. It is clear. It's going perfectly in the street. So do you remember my earlier videos? My car would kind of like bounce around. Just driving, you know, there's that yellow line. It did that virtual line like I was suggesting. Okay, so this is a busy street. I'm not intervening because there's a problem. I just can't see. So, you know, if the car was going to go, it was clear, but I couldn't see myself by these cars, so I'm not going to let the car do it without me knowing it's safe. So I'm not sure if I would count that a disengagement. I just wanted to make sure for my safety. So it has the left turn signal on, which is weird. Detected the entire roundabout. I don't like that it's pausing. Okay, so it's not handling this correctly. Okay. Now it didn't like hit anything or maneuver incorrectly. It just paused in the roundabout for some reason. It said something about stopping for traffic signal or something about that on the screen. That's the only reason why I disengaged there. See, it's doing it again. Like, it should not be pausing in the roundabout. We have the right of way. They had a stop. So it handled the traffic situation there incorrectly. I don't remember where I was going downtown before. Oh, the Crocker. Oops. Yeah, that'll work. So I'm not in FSD right now. Now I am. It handled the person walking perfectly. So people have been commenting, oh, is it ready for release? It's ready for release. No, I don't think that it's ready for release yet, because like you've seen me having to disengage a few times. It's completely not like I'm disengaging all the time. Like, I guess we'll just say beta 1. I mean, I'm rarely disengaging. It's just like, okay, it's not handling this right, or maybe it's just not as smooth for me as I want it to be. So at least it says creeping forward. It is clear. So I think what it was trying to do is we have this really like wide bike lane here. I think it started initially wanting to path into that, but then it went into the correct lane. It's still having some issues, like it's unsure of the lines here. This is a white dotted line, not yellow, so it's still pushing us on the right-hand side here, which it doesn't need to do. So again, this is one... Oh, that car was going the wrong way. Now it's like, I have a feeling if it detects the yellow again, it's probably going to want to push the car to the right like it used to do. But we'll see. I'm going to try to stay positive. Okay, there's a parked car. It should be swinging us to the right a little bit. And it did. Cool. Stop sign here. Now we're in Midtown. I think they call this the Handle District. Grapeville. I used to go there all the time until I found out I had gluten issues, so I don't go there anymore. But the food is fantastic. It's handling all these stop signs and stoplights perfectly. It's not braking too hard. It's not accelerating too hard. It's just like It's just smooth. I mean, you can really, I can really tell the improvement just because I've been driving 8.2 for so long. Like, it reacted perfectly. So it didn't like overly brake. It just, okay, the light's changing yellow, and then it immediately started switching to braking, which is great. Anyway, so the smoothness is so noticeable to me because I've been driving 8.2 for what, for almost 5 months now. And you can feel the difference in how much more refined the software is. And I just love this shading. You can kind of see like, nope, you can't drive there. And all the light colors are where you can drive. I haven't had an instance yet where it's turned into the incorrect lane like it used to do on previous builds a lot. I don't have that problem. I haven't had that problem yet. So now we're at the state capitol in Sacramento. Scooters. It didn't detect scooters. It just shows them as people moving really fast. Oh, and then it was a bike. So maybe that's something they need to start visualizing is people on scooters. That'd be kind of cool. I know they're doing dogs now. I haven't seen that yet, but here's some more scooters. Just showing up as people moving really fast. That's kind of funny, actually. Yeah, we have a lot of scooters in Sacramento. Okay, how's it going to handle this? We have cars to the right. Okay, so the car was actually far behind us, and it moved over for the pedestrian, gave her plenty of room, and the car wasn't even that the car wasn't close to us at all. It was like 5 car lengths, 6 car lengths behind us, so it handled that situation perfectly. Oh, cool. It's showing all the train stops now. I don't know if I just haven't been down here for a while or if this is part of the new map update. So right before I got FSD Beta 9, I got a huge download the night before, and it was a map update. So that seems to be something changed. Cool. So that yellow light that changed, I probably would have done the same thing. I would have just accelerated and gone through it. But the car just continued to go through the yellow light. But see, this one changed yellow and then red, and it stopped at. So that's actually how I would have driven it too. Okay, why is it turning my right signal on here? Not sure why it's picking this particular lane, because we actually have to make a left, as you can see. See, you didn't know either. That might be some kind of map-related data, because it's only showing 3 lanes here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 lanes. So there's something about the map data that's wrong here, but the Tesla corrected itself and got into the correct lane. See, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes, and it's only showing 3 here. But it did eventually get into the correct lane that it needed to be. Like, no one has their turn signals on, or else you could see it flashing. Like, I want you guys to see this. Okay. So here in the past, it's usually done the wrong lane, like almost every time. Got the right lane. Perfect. Great. So it's trying to move over because I actually have the nav point set to Crocker Park at the museum. So it wants to move over since it's a right-hand turn that's upcoming. It didn't cut anyone off, and it got correctly in the lane. That's great. Mendocino Farms. Trying to find somewhere in the ice blocks. Let's do West Elm. West Elm. West Elm, Arm Street. Okay, so I just plugged West Elm. It's supposed to be West. What's going on? Maybe I don't have service. West Elm, R Street. Okay, so I just basically canceled my nav point. It's still in autopilot FSD. I haven't actually disengaged it. Like, I probably should, but I kind of want to see how it's going to handle canceling the route and reconfiguring it in the middle of driving. Wow, it did such a good job. So, if you guys can remember, this area right here on the road, the lines are all jacked up. That error was because I think it wanted me to take over immediately because it wasn't sure, but it ended up picking the right lane and it didn't do anything like overly dramatic. Here it's always wanted to drive into the backs of the cars. It didn't do it, which is great. This is so much better, you guys. Here it's always wanted to go into that far right lane. It went to the very first lane like it was supposed to. Great. The improvements are so incredible, you guys. Like, you know, I've been driving this for so long, and at least you've been able to see the different videos, and this exact street would always want to swing all the way into this right lane. That was the first time it went into the far left lane. So I'm not sure why it's positioning the car like this. I think because we need to make a right-hand turn coming up. The positioning of the car is like bizarre. I think because it wants to make the right up here. That was abnormal. I'm gonna just report that. I wouldn't say that's a vision issue as more so the timing of the car getting into the lane. So that just needs some refinement. But as you guys have noticed, I actually haven't disengaged at all. So up until those two roundabouts, there's been no disengagements. So even canceling my nav point and continuing, I never disengaged. And if you guys can remember, this particular street and all this area, I would have a number of disengagements. Specifically here, it would try to drive here to the left, and then straight ahead at the train tracks, it would always like mess up. And I haven't disengaged once. Other than those two roundabouts where it didn't handle correctly. It was just stopping. It didn't like turn incorrectly. It just didn't. Just paused. That needs some refinement though. I'm gonna actually just drop down to 30 in here. Like, the speed limit's 30. I just want to go a little bit slower, just since I haven't driven this beta down here yet. Okay, so it did try to stop too far back. I'm gonna report that. So this is the intersection. It's always kind of struggled at for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. Like, I don't know what it is about this intersection. Maybe it's the tracks running down the middle. Maybe it's all the power lines. I don't know, but yeah, I had to disengage there. Like, it was stopping too early. Now, I could have just let it drive normally, but I don't want Tesla and the car to know that that was okay to stop so early. So that's the only reason why I'm disengaging that, because I want that to be recorded and sent to Tesla for refinement. So this is a really narrow street coming up. It's called the Ice Blocks. Now, we do need to move over. I'm going to actually just disengage it and move over because we have to immediately move over. And I just know that right now the car will not respond fast enough to get us moved. As you guys recall, back on one of my earlier builds, I mentioned about these train crossings not showing, and they're all showing now. So this is the challenging spot. You see all those cones? There's, okay, so it was gonna drive on that curb. That curb is almost the same color as the road. So the vision just didn't detect it correctly. So cross traffic does not stop on the right. Let's see how it handles this. It is showing all the blue cars, meaning it's detecting everything. So it's pretty much clear right after this. Let's see if it goes. Oh, it's waiting for the pedestrians. Wow. This is super safe because, you know, the normal person probably would be looking to the right and not happen to notice the pedestrians coming up on the left. And it took us right to the point. Wow, this is great, you guys. Okay. So let's try to actually head. I'm going to cover this because it's my home address. Okay. Now, FSD back on. This is so narrow. Look at how close these cars are. See how that car went over the curb too? Yeah, that's what autopilot wanted to do on this really shallow curb. So that just needed some refinement for that turn back there. But overall, it's doing pretty well. This is such a narrow street. Pedestrians everywhere, scooters everywhere. It's doing just fine. See how narrow the street is? Cars have to come into you. Waiting for the... So, I thought the car was stopping because it wanted to stop. No, it was stopping because those people crossing over there. So it anticipated the pedestrians even before we would have seen it. That's so cool. Wow. Okay. There's a car on the left. Actually, a couple cars on the left. It's clear. It did it. Unprotected left turn with construction. You guys, come on. This is awesome. This is so different. Like, this is pretty much the same path. You know, there's some different scenarios happening with construction in different places, but this is pretty much the same path I've been taking for months on these updates. And it's driving so different. Wow. And how natural the car feels, it's just so much more human. Like, it doesn't feel like a robot or a computer or, you know, something like it feels like a natural driver that is just like a smooth, like a chill driver. Like, I love it. Up here, this is where one of the roundabouts was on one of my infamous videos where the beta wanted to just drive me right through that. And it was this roundabout that's actually coming up. So I'm curious to see if there's some refinement here. This is so great. You just don't feel it like moving around the road like it used to. This is just fantastic. bicyclist, and the roundabout. Okay, the infamous roundabout with a bike. What a scenario here. Okay, I didn't plan this. It slowed down for the bike. Use accelerator or gear stock continue. Oh, I had to confirm. Interesting, so I confirmed it. I think there, you know, it's still having some issues with these roundabouts for some reason. Like, it went really slow. I didn't have to disengage though. So I would say that's maybe like half a point because it was a little bit too hesitant to me. Wow, it's going right around this bicyclist. This is fantastic. It's so natural. Like, it's just, it doesn't feel jittery or like jarring to go around that bike. It just went around. They've really refined this. This is great. So now we're in, that was it Temple Coffee? Temple Coffee House, Pushkin's Bakery. Now we're going to be heading onto the freeway, so let's just see if it gets on the freeway correctly. So here I wouldn't have gone all the way to the right because we do have to end up moving to the left. Okay. So that, I feel like it needs refinement back there. I'm just gonna snapshot that. Because it put us into the right lane. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it was trying to go around this car. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know what's going on with the colors too. The colors are all different. So we're in the wrong lane. So I think this has to be related to the map data. There's 4 lanes here, not 3. See, it shows 3. So it was missing this left-hand turn lane. We actually needed to be in lane number 2, 1, 2. But it wanted to put us in lane number 1 because then the map was only showing 3. So there definitely is an issue with the map data there. So the car didn't even know which lane to jump into, you know, by itself. Okay, so now I'm going to just turn it back on. See how it merges in. This is an exit only lane. Oh, it's still an FSD. Interesting. And it got us right on the highway. This is great. Let's see what it does here. So how it's gonna handle these scenarios here where I'm telling it to move over. It's working great. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here and let it take the exit. It's really handling the curves, detection for speed so much better. So there was some traffic back there, and normally when you're coming around a curve and traffic's kind of slowing down, the radar's not detecting the cars, but the vision is detecting the cars on the curve and knows their speed just based purely on vision. So the car is reacting a lot better during curves and deceleration. So now we're going to be taking South Watt Avenue exit off Business 80. Very first time I've ever done any of this, so fingers are crossed. This is kind of a 2 left-hand turn here. Gosh, no one turns on their turn signal. Wish you could see this, because the turn signals react It's great. Amazon truck. Is it going to go around? There it goes around. The driver's like, what are you doing? Dude, we're in an FSD Tesla. Chill. It's handling all these scenarios perfectly, you know, and it's safe. It's not doing anything like over erratic. Let's just increase the speed. I love this shading. It's so cool. You can see where the driveways are. Just, this is all based on vision, by the way. This is not like map data. This is what the car's seeing. So this is like a right-hand curve with a merge. So it actually did that correctly. So it did stop because it's a right-hand turn. So it's the car's, you're supposed to stop on a right-hand turn on red, and the car did that perfectly. It stopped and then proceeded. The merge happened like it was supposed to as well. So that was great. So we're in the American River College area in Sacramento. Winding way. I really like this road. It's just really pretty. I discovered it a couple months ago, and I like this road. It's a good test for FSD. Since there's so many curves, there's so many cars coming in different directions, and a lot of blind curves too. Now, it does have lower speed limits through here. I usually set it to 30 to 35 because it's honestly too slow when you're going the 25 like it's posted. No one drives 25 in here. They all drive 30 to 35. Like, I'm going 35, there's a car right behind us. It's negotiating all these curves perfectly. So it always turns on the signal here because I think the turn is so tight, it turns the signal on because of that. This is challenging. There's a bridge with like this really tall raised curb, and it works great. See, this car is like right on us. It's a 25, and we're doing 35 through here, and cars just ride you. I think they really don't have the speed limit set right for this area. Just 25 is just way too slow. I mean, we're going 35. Look, that car is like gone. Yeah, and this car is on me. I mean, they really have the speed limit set incorrectly in this particular stretch of road. See? People. Okay, well that's it for now. It's going great, you guys.